We're in Mentasta village. This was where I was raised and with my family and the rest of my cousins.
Mentasta basically is part of the Anchorage region. We've probably about 90, the population has been between 90 to 100 people. We are one of maybe the more remote villages of Anchorage, even though we are on the highway system. The nearest hub is probably about 45 miles, which is Toke, and then Glen Allen, which is about 100 miles away. The community itself is very subsistence lifestyle, very customary, traditional, dependent on game and fish to provide for their way of life.
Why my mom was fighting so hard? Because we were raised off this land. I remember we had a bunch of dogs. We put the dog packs on them, and she took a bunch of us as kids up to Bone Creek, where we shot a moose. We hung, dried, and everything else. And the only thing left of the moose when we left Bone Creek was the moose horns, and all the bones that had marrow in it were broken. Everything was eaten. Everything was taken care of. And that was her legacy. Everything that she does, even when I came back from Vietnam and stuff like that, she was telling me about we have to do something about those guys out there on the boat that drop a little speck of gas on the lake and stuff such as that. She was very spiritual, and she was in tune with all things around her, because the land itself was a giver of life.
I remember at the age of 12 being sent by my mom with my grandma, to go work in smokehouse with her. Did I cut a fish? No. I packed the water, I hung the fish, I packed the fish. Then I did that 2 summers, and at the age of 14, she got fish again. She threw a fish and a knife, in front of me, said, start cutting. And I looked at it, I said, I've never cut a fish before, Grandma. She's like, you watched me for 2 summers, you know how to cut fish. And sure enough, I cut it. I mean, it didn't look pretty, but it didn't look like dog food either, so.
We as people always have been strong. We had our own leaders. We had our own spiritual ways. And our spiritual ways is of how we live. I mean, all things around us is part of life that has to be respected. And I think it's where we as people are resilience, because we think back to our elders, their teaching, the songs, and such as that they sing. We as people, we live very spiritual. Mm-hmm. You look around outside, you see the mountain, you see the trees, you see the clouds, you see the rain, the river, the animal world. That's our Bible. That's for us to take care of. And that's for us to govern what's going on our land and our resources. That's to ensure us in our way of life.
I would say, first of all, is do they support sovereignty of tribes? Sovereignty is a huge thing for tribes. We've got that relationship, that governance relationship with the federal government. It depends on who's in the state office, if that, is even acknowledged. Either they, recognize it or they don't. So I think sovereignty is a huge thing. The other thing too is that some of the people, that are running for office, have they ever been outside of Anchorage or Fairbanks? Have they ever been into the rural areas of Alaska? Do they even know what rural, people have to deal with? Not just Native people, rural people. Mm-hmm. And I would say that probably the second thing to look at, is their background just in Anchorage? Is it a background just in Fairbanks? If it is, they'll never understand the situations that's going on in rural Alaska.
I would like to say to Murkowski and those that side with the natives that we as people need your help as of now because of the position you're in. We as people need you to help us to pass laws to help, for us as people to help ourselves, whether it be food, jobs, or whatever. And that's why we do try and vote you in, because we know you're an asset to the Native people of Alaska.